The 2016 Energica Ego. Welcome to our brave new world, where clean, green, energy is finally emerging from under the corporate boot heels of big coal and oil interests. Technological leaps come quickly, and the various industries can scarcely keep up with the improvements as they scramble to take advantage of it. Recent advances in battery technology are giving rise to truly functional vehicular designs, and the 2016 Ego from Energica is an excellent example of just how viable electric bikes can be, at least as far as raw performance goes. In fact, this battery-powered adrenaline mill could give many dino-juice sportbikes a run for their money, as long as it was a short race, anyway. Continue reading for my review of the 2016 Energica Ego. Design. At first and second glance, the Ego is pure sport bike, and the full-body panels even tipple it toward the superbike range, a trend that extends to the performance envelope, more on that later. Energica took care to conceal much of the guts, and what little is exposed barely suggests at what resides under the hood, unlike so many other manufacturers that clearly give their products away as being non-conventional by displaying the innards, or otherwise concealing them poorly, in some way. The lines of the Ego design would not look out of place in any group of sport bikes, be they Japanese or European in origin. Standing still, only the cooling fins visible behind the engine shroud and unusual swing-arm, shock setup give it away as not just another sport bike, making this a good option for those interested in a green ride without necessarily announcing it to the world. Chassis. A steel, tubular trellis frame cradles and protects the electrical innards, and much more. According to the factory, the inherent flexion of steel frames actually stores energy, much like spring, or a hard-swung golf club, and the release of this stored energy contributes to acceleration. If this sounds unlikely, I invite you to look at some stills of a slapshot and get back to me. Marzocchi provides the ride at the front end, with 43mm USD forks that come with adjustments for compression and rebound damping, as well as preload. A coil-over Bitubo monoshock acts directly on the radical swing-arm sans linkage, and it too comes with adjustable rebound damping and spring preload. Not quite as top-shelf as the Öhlins suspension featured on the exclusive Ego 45, but still pretty doggone good by anybody's standards. Brembo 4-pot calipers bind the massive 330mm front brake discs, and a twin-pot Brembo grabs the 240mm disc in back. The braking forces are moderated by the Bosch switchable ABS that also comes with a nifty anti-rear wheel lift-up function to prevent pulling a moonshot at the wrong end when you grab a fistful of front brake lever. Pirelli Diablo Rosso 2 tires round out the chassis, if you will forgive the pun, providing a large, sticky contact patch from sidewall to sidewall for plenty of lateral traction for aggressive cornering. Drivetrain. Finally, we come to the onion with the electric motor and drive system. A permanent magnet AC (PMAC) electric motor provides the drive. It cranks out 136 ponies from 4,900 through 10,500 revolutions per minute where the rev limiter kicks in, and a soul-crushing 143.8 pound-feet of torque from 0 to 4,700. Yes, you read that right, from 0. One of the benefits of electric drives is full torque is available from the first crack of the throttle, giving a whole new meaning to the phrase low-end torque. The sum of these performance numbers brings us to the impressive bottom line, 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds, and a top speed of 150 miles per hour. Motor management falls to the Vehicle Control Unit (VCU) that comes programmed with 4 separate riding modes: Standard, Sport, Economy and Rain, and 4 regenerative maps for absolute control over power delivery and conservation. The battery rated for 1200 cycles can take a charge in 3.5 hours or less, as low as 30 minutes for an 85% charge depending on level of discharge and which of the 4 charging modes you use. Charge time and range are the hot-button topics on electric vehicles of any sort, and the Ego gives up around 93 miles at an average speed of 49 miles per hour, which is fine for around town, but you can forget about any kind of road trips at high speed. A reduction gear replaces the transmission and eliminates the need for a clutch, or even a shifter, so acceleration is smooth and constant, surpassing even the fancy schmancy quick shift features on some of the other top-end sport bikes. Straight-cut gears in the reduction assembly produce a whine that, while not as sexy as the full-throated roar from a smoker bike, should allow folks to hear you coming, an important safety feature in my opinion. Loud gearboxes save lives? Another nifty advantage of the drive system is that it allows for a park assistant mode that, when selected, limits speed to 1.74 miles per hour in forward and reverse. Price. US buyers can expect to drop around $34,000 on an Ego if last year's prices are any indication, and it comes in matte pearl white or matte black, both with some really green highlights, a fitting detail for such a green bike, don't you think? Competitor. The field is still a little thin for electric sport bikes, so I am forced to return to the SRZ F12.5 from Zero for my head-to-head. Both rides conform to sportbike convention as far as overall form goes, though Zero wraps the guts completely with body panels and the factory didn't bother trying to camouflage it in any way like Energica did. Based on curb appeal alone, the Ego pulls miles ahead of the Zero SR. Likewise, performance skews heavily toward the Ego with its stupid fast top speed of 150 miles per hour versus a more modest, saner, top speed of 102 miles per hour on the Zero. Grunt falls off on the Zero as well, but it's still impressive at 106 pound-feet, if a little lower than the 143.8 pound-feet from the Ego. Power comes at a price, however, a fact that tells on the Ego. With a range of just under 100 miles at 49 miles per hour, Energica has shorter legs than the Zero, especially if you get the power tank accessory that will give you up to 141 miles at 55 miles per hour in combined city, highway driving. Ego recharging is fairly brisk, much quicker than the Zero with its 8.6 and 1.9 hour charge time, depending on battery state and number of accessory chargers. Caveat: I recently saw an aftermarket quick charger for Zero bikes that reduces that charge time quite a bit, but since it's not a factory device, I won't reflect those charge times here. Energica takes a hit on price. At $34,000, it's well proud of the Zero with its modest $15,995 sticker. Even with the $2,495 power tank accessory, and quick chargers at $600 a pop, the SR still slides in on the more economical end of the spectrum. He said. All good stuff. I love how clean technologies are finally making their way into the mainstream, and even though this ride is just about as good as it gets, I think battery power is just a stepping stone. The real future is hydrogen cell technology. Do ya hear that, Energica? By all means, perfect the chassis and motor, but be ready to shift from limited battery capacity to a power cell that will allow for your awesome performance with the range and convenience of dino-juice rides. It's coming. She said. My wife and fellow writer, Alan Hinton, says, Energica is based in Modena, Italy. If that sounds familiar, it may be because you appreciate the quality and precision of names such as Ducati, Ferrari and Lamborghini. We expect excellence from that neck of the woods, and Energica doesn't disappoint. I love the torque right out of the hole. It's almost scary. I'm still a little concerned about the low noise level, though. To be safe on the road with cagers, they really need to be loud. Specifications.
If you liked this video, please share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.